What's going on, guys? It is 5 o'clock in the morning. I just woke up, but while the house is still calm and quiet and the kids are still in bed, I figured I'd start this episode, or start filming at least. So I'm enjoying my coffee and also enjoying my Tudor chronograph, which review will be coming in the near future. So the purpose of today's episode is I want to share my experience with a Seiko that I'm expecting in the mail today. It's the SRPE53, which other people call the DressKX, and ever since I've seen it, I've always liked it, but I kind of stayed away from the Seiko 5s because I wasn't a fan of the crown, with it not being a screw down crown and little things like that. And I was also listening to reviews on the Seiko group. Not a lot of people were fans of Seiko over the last couple of years. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse. We all know what those complaints were. But another thing I realized is every time I share a Seiko on my, Discord channel or Discord server, I always hear the same comments, and they are, oh, this reviewer said this, or this reviewer said that, and they were never good things. And so I would go and watch those reviews, and basically watching the reviews, I'd see somebody sitting at a table doing the same thing, putting the watch on a time grapher, or not really wearing the watch. They would review it, but I don't know how they wore the watch. I don't know if they actually took it out, actually had fun with it, actually worked out with it, actually did life with the watch. And so to me, their review is all just limited to the confines of their desk. So how can you really judge a watch based on sitting at a desk? So long story short, I want to do this watch a little bit different and see how that goes. I want to document my day-to-day use of it, so that way you and I both will learn about the watch, not just sitting at the desk, but how does it function in real life? Because a time grapher is going to tell you that it operates plus or minus whatever, but how does that translate to real use? So anyways, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of this coffee. I should be getting the watch later on this afternoon, and from there I will start recording. And I'll say from Sunday to Saturday, maybe Sunday to Friday, I will record, my experience with it, and then I'll share it with you. All right, guys, have a good day. Here is the package for our new Seiko. Let's go ahead and open it up and get our first impressions. All right, so you guys missed out on the initial unbagging, but it was nothing special, just your standard Amazon affair. And here is the box that it comes in. Not that packaging is important, but one of my biggest gripes was how little effort they put into the presentation. Not a big deal, but something that I would like to see improve in the future. Here you have a little, what I'm guessing is a warranty card. Yep, certificate of limited warranty. And guys, I'm sorry if you hear any craziness in the background. Those are just my kids doing what kids do best, which is make as much noise as possible whenever I hit the record button. And here is the main box. Let's get into that. Right. And no surprise here, you already knew what you were gonna see based on the title. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that. And I think, just based off of first impressions only, looking at it from an angle here, because I'm letting you guys get the best view, but that sunburst blue dial is absolutely beautiful. I think it's something that I'm very familiar with when it comes to Seikos, and that is one of the things that I fell in love with the brand. Another thing I want to do is bring out this Seiko Sports and just do a side-by-side comparison, and I'll tell you right off the bat,
Well, actually first, let's just do a close-up of this so you know what you're getting into. But here's mine. It's, you know, modified quite a bit, but the overall case shape and proportions and everything is what you'd expect from any Seiko Sports. So knowing that and holding it side by side with this Seiko 5, so this is the SRPD and this is the SRPE. And first impressions, just in my hands, it almost feels like the SRPE is like 50% thinner than the SRPD. And I know that's not the case, right? It's only like thinner by a couple millimeters, but that's just how it feels. And I can tell you, I think this is a great combination. One that is slightly more dive style, more rugged perhaps, and this is much more, you know, they call it the DressKX for a reason, but I still think it functions, or it could function as a sports watch. And of course, you know, I'll do my quality assurance checks as the week goes by. So I'll do a verification that everything is aligned properly and the watch maintains its time as it should. But so far, my first impressions are very good. All right, we're still on Sunday, still at day one. Here's just a quick Lumeshot. So far, fantastic. Of course, this isn't a surprise because Seiko Lume has just been fantastic and that has always been the standard. So we'll see. I'll shoot some footage, hopefully first thing in the morning. Hopefully it's still like dark and we'll see how bright the Lume is. Good morning, guys. It is 6 o'clock in the morning and I am looking at my watch. You guys can't see anything through the camera because the Lume is just not bright enough, but I can see it. So I think that is a success as far as the Lume goes. So unfortunately, you guys can't see anything, but I promise you, the Lume is still bright enough to see with the naked eye after an entire night. All right, what's up guys? Now I'm out here walking the dogs or doing some cardio really. So best way to test out just how good a watch is. Accuracy has been good, but the biggest thing is comfort. Super comfortable. One thing you'll realize right away with an uncomfortable watch while you're doing cardio is just how unpleasant that experience is, and I have not had that. This has been a fantastic watch for everyday use so far. One thing that is blatantly apparent is just how beautiful this thing shines in natural light, or outdoor light that is. The sunburst blue is beautiful, and it's not a sapphire crystal. I think it's just a hardlex crystal, but even that catches the light really nicely, and those indices, you can't beat it. So I had really low expectations for the bracelet. I knew that I was going to get a bracelet with hollow end links and a stainless steel clasp, but after working out with it today and just really just messing with it, it's been fantastic. There is something very valuable and very enjoyable about a zero maintenance, I don't want to say low quality, but low end stainless steel clasp bracelet with the hollow end links. I don't know what it is, just the way that it sounds. It's very reminiscent of all the watches that we all had when we first got into watch collecting. So yeah, I'm not going to knock any points for that. I've been enjoying it 100%.
Let's go ahead and knock out the generic information. Most of the stuff you can find on the website. As far as the measurements go, I do all of those myself. So if there's some differences from the website and what I'm telling you, it's just because, you know, there's gonna be some differences there. So starting off with price, MSRP is $275. There is several variations of this model. So each colorway is going to be a different price. For the SRPE53 or the Sunburst Blue Dial, you can find that for around $220. You know, that's a reasonable expectation. If you can find it cheaper, then more power to you. Now going over the dimensions. For the case diameter, you're looking at 40 millimeters from 9 to 3 o'clock. But if you measure from 10 to 4, then that goes up to 43 millimeters. For height or thickness, you get 11.8 millimeters, lug to lug of 44.4 millimeters, a lug width of 20 millimeters, and an overall weight of 138 grams or 4.8 ounces. Now that weight was after I removed one link, and I've got a fairly fat wrist, so for most of you that weight's going to be even more because you're probably going to remove more than one link. All right, now going over just the boilerplate information that you can get straight off the website. For the movement, you're going to get the world famous Seiko 4R36 movement. Basically that's very similar to the NH36. So you've got the day and the date, and so it just looks like a very sophisticated movement, or dial in my opinion. 4R36 is a automatic and hacking movement, and you're also going to get a power reserve of around 41 hours. Looking at that case, you've got stainless steel all around, and then on the bottom you've got a display caseback, screw down caseback, and then coming back to the top you've got a Hardlex crystal, and underneath that crystal you've got Lumebrite, fantastic Seiko Lumebrite on all of the indices and the hands. And for water resistance, even though you don't have a screw down crown, you're getting 100 meters of water resistance, which is perfectly acceptable for the typical desk diver. So that covers the basic generic information. Now let's get to it and test it out.
All right guys, it's Tuesday morning. I just got done at the gym. I did a lot of shoulder presses and some pull-ups. And so pull-ups don't really affect the watch wearing experience, but shoulder presses and any kind of pressing movement really does. So that's sort of my easy test on how comfortable a watch is how easy is it to wear during a pressing movement. And I'll tell you that today, after today's experiment or today's experience, I will tell you it was super comfortable. So that is just 5 out of 5 as far as comfort during physical activities. So far it's looking good for the DressKX. Let's go check it out some more. And now I'm gonna be detailing my car, aka just vacuuming it, because we've done a lot of driving. We were on the road a lot over the holidays, so it's been a mess. So I'm just gonna put a vacuum to it, wearing the Seiko DressKX. And it's not a particularly arduous task, but I think it is hard enough to where if your watch isn't comfortable, you're definitely gonna feel it. So let's go ahead and see how this watch holds up doing something as tedious as vacuuming the car. All right, so I still got a lot more to go with this car, but I will tell you that this watch has been fantastic, very comfortable. All right, let's get at it. So now we're a couple days into ownership of the SRPE53. So let's go ahead and talk about how I'm feeling about it so far. Obviously from the footage, mostly it's very positive thoughts. Still, the dimensions are fantastic and accuracy has been spot on. I'm not measuring the accuracy on a timographer. Like I said in the beginning, sure, you can get all the results and, plus, minus, whatever seconds per day, but I want to know what that translates to practical use. And so far, regardless of what a timographer tells me, I will tell you my watch has been pretty much dead nuts on accuracy. I've only set it once. As soon as I received the watch, I set it to my phone. I always set my time 1 minute fast because one of my biggest pet peeves is being late. And so that's just one of my safety buffers, is always setting my time 1 minute fast. And now after 4 days of owning the watch, it is still 1 minute fast based on the time on my phone. So comfort, accuracy, and pretty much everything else about it, the style, has been 10 out of 10. But what are the things that I don't like about it? So as far as like a personal preference, I really would like to see them come out with a Seiko 5 with a screw down crown. I just feel like that's something that wouldn't be difficult for them to implement, and I don't understand why they don't. So you know, that would just be something nice. It doesn't ruin the overall experience. It doesn't affect it at all whatsoever. But if you ask me, and if I had to pick whether I have a screw down crown or not, I'm always gonna pick a screw down crown. I would say the biggest criticism that I have on this watch that I don't like is the case back. So it's got a display or see-through case back, which a lot of people like. I guess I'm kind of in a phase now where I prefer closed case backs. You know, there's nothing wrong with an open one, and I think there's a time and place for them, especially if you have a movement that is decorated, you know, like a higher end luxury movement that deserves to be observed. But in this case, you've got a standard budget 4R36 movement. There's no special finishing here. So the open case back, to me, comes off as just being cheap, like a cheap party trick. So I would have liked to have seen just a stainless steel, you know, Seiko case back, maybe even like not a Prospex case back, but something like that. So actually I have a case back on the way, which I ordered before I purchased this watch. And call me crazy, but how I buy watches now is not how the watch is out the box. I buy watches based on how I envision what it's going to look like after I'm done messing around with it. So a week before I ordered this watch, I actually ordered the case back. Just because, I don't know why. I'm just weird like that. I'll buy the accessories before the actual watch. So that way, when I do receive the watch, I already have everything available to me to basically make my creation. So today, that's what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna put in the new case back, and we'll just see how that looks. So first, let's go ahead and take a look at this case back. This was on my other Seiko Sports, and it's the display see-through case back, which, like I said before, I'm not a fan of. So what I did was I ordered one from Namoki Mods, and this is a closed case back. But why I ordered this one is because they said that it's 50% thinner than the standard Seiko 5 case back. So here are the two case backs. And just from the naked eye, you can see that this one is significantly thinner. So I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like on the wrist, because this case back is already very thin on the main case. So an even thinner one is just going to be like fantastic. So just as a FYI, or public service announcement, the case back for the SRPE, so this smaller version, is the same exact size as the SRPD, or the Seiko 5 Sports. So if you look at that, that is fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. That is beautifully thin. Now let's go ahead and check out those dimensions. So I'm getting just under 11 millimeters. So we went from around 11.8 to 11 millimeters. Fantastic. So first impressions with this Namoki Mods case back, I gotta say those guys knocked it out of the park. The great thing about this case back, or for any of these case backs from Namoki Mods, the SRPE and SRPD and the SKX 007 all share the same case back. So for part swapping and all that stuff, you can really have a lot of fun with it. For me specifically, I wanted the thinner case back without the display, so a closed, thinner case back. And you know, of course I'll have a better footage close up here for you, but God, that is beautiful. That is absolutely stunning. I always felt like my Goldilocks thickness on a watch case was anything under 12. I think you can get too thin. I've seen a 9mm watch, I think it was a Casio Edifice or something, but that was a little bit too thin. Like, it just didn't feel right, like it was unnatural. But I would say 11 to 12 it's perfect. Now, of course, proportions do play a role in that overall optical illusion. But in this case, the lug to lug, the case width, the lug width, all of that, this 10.9 millimeter case thickness is spot on. I mean, it was spot on at the original case thickness of, I think it was, I can't remember, like 11.8 or something like that. But either way, from the original to now, I think it's even better. And even just wearing it on the wrist, that is fantastic. I will say I had to adjust the bracelet, not by a lot, I just had to change one of the micro adjusts to a smaller size by 1 level. You wouldn't think just the difference of 1 millimeter would change the feeling of the watch, but it actually does. Not by any significant measure, but you do feel it. Case in point, I had to adjust the size. But so far, off of the initial feelings and first impressions of this new Caseback, I love it, it's super comfortable, and I'm very glad that I went for this modification. Alright guys, I'm about to go to bed. Still got the DressKX on. And I don't know if you guys sleep with a watch on or not. I normally do, but depending on how comfortable it is, I'll take it off. This one, no issues, super comfortable in the bed. I don't experience any kind of wrist fatigue or anything like that, if you know what I'm talking about. So just something I wanted to bring up, a good observation. So that's about it for now. Good night. I will see you guys tomorrow. I had a couple of days to wear the DressKX to work, and I just want to let you guys know how that is when I'm wearing my work clothes. So obviously I'm wearing a uniform, but for all intents and purposes, my uniform is no different than any button-up shirt with button-up cuffs. And straight off the bat, you can see how easily it fits under the cuff. There is no conflict here for real estate. And one thing you notice is how easy it is to wear a watch that has a case thickness of less than 12 millimeters. It's a beautiful thing. So I've had a solid 24 hours to enjoy the DressKX with the new Caseback, with the thinner Caseback. And like I said before, it's not a substantial change, but it really does make a difference, a powerful difference in a good way. And so I highly encourage it. I've enjoyed every minute of the day wearing this on my wrist. Sometimes it's just nice to sit back and just observe it and, just appreciate just how beautifully thin that is. As far as a current status update on the watch itself, accuracy is still fantastic. It's been 100% for me, spot on. Like I said before, I set my watches 1 minute fast, and so when I set this one on Sunday, I set it 1 minute fast, and today on Friday, it is still 1 minute fast. So to me, I've got no complaints there. I don't care what the timographer says, it is perfect. As far as things lining up on the dial, such as the chapter ring or the indices and all that stuff, it lines up just fine, so you don't have any of that dreaded Seiko quality control issues that have been plaguing the watch community for the last 2 years. And as of now, my only complaint after I corrected the Caseback is still the lack of a screw down crown, but it's not a practical complaint because it's not something that I notice unless I'm actually using the crown. But on day-to-day activities and just wearing it, you're never going to notice that it's not a screw down crown. The only thing that I would change at this point, I think, is the bracelet. As much as I said that I think the bracelet is fine, I think the color tone or the colorway is just not what I want right now. So I did some research, I did some searching, and I think a two-tone Jubilee bracelet is the way to go. So unfortunately, I was not able to find a two-tone Jubilee bracelet that I feel comfortable buying yet because I just don't know if the end links are going to fit the DressKX. If any of you viewers know for a fact a two-tone Jubilee that has end links that will fit the SRPE, please let me know in the comments below. But until then, I'm perfectly fine dealing with the stock bracelet that it comes with. But other than that, that pretty much wraps up the week on the wrist with the DressKX. I can say confidently over the course of a week, there were no issues that I could see or anything that was glaringly obvious. I think with reasonable expectations that anyone would have for any watch, this one performed with flying colors. Accuracy was more than acceptable, comfort was perfect, aesthetics was fantastic, and the overall joy and excitement that I had from wearing this watch was more than I could ask for from any other timepiece. Of the complaints that I had mentioned before, such as the screw down crown and the stock bracelet, those are just subjective and personal preferences and have nothing to do with the overall performance of the watch. I recommend the SRPE53 with zero hesitation and will recommend it to anybody as a gift, as a personal watch, as a work watch, as a dress watch, as a sports watch, really just as an everyday watch. I had an absolute blast wearing it, and for what it's worth, considering how often I change my watches, I normally wear 2 to 3 watches in one single day. The fact that I easily wore this watch for 4 days straight without missing any other watches is a testament to just how much of a joy it is to have this on the wrist. So I said it before and I'll say it again, I highly recommend the DressKX, and if you're in the market for one, go ahead and get it. So that's all I gotta say for now. Thank you so much for watching. I always have a blast making these reviews, and hopefully I'll continue to do these week on the wrist style reviews because they're just fun, and really it forces me to think about the watch on a deeper level other than just sitting at my desk and talking about them. So hopefully you enjoyed it as well. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.